Hi guys, thanks for watching miasnewpairofglasses.com. This is the second part in the discussion series I have going on with Brian, and in today's video we're going to tell you the story of how all this came to be, how Brian and I came in contact with each other, and everything that's developed from there has just sprouted. So we'll get right into it.
So I was searching for somebody to help me disseminate the information that I had, and I'd been searching for a while, and nobody in the community really seemed the right fit for me. And then on January 17th, I got a recommended video of one of Mia's, and I watched it, and I said, "Oh, that could work." She was small enough where I thought she'd be able to hear me, get an email. I think she was around 3,000 subs at the time. So I decided to send her an email. So we'll post the email down below this video so you guys can see what I said to her. I was looking for somebody that was legit, and I watched all of her videos in a day and a half, and there was, I don't know, a lot of them, and I just burned, I burned the midnight oil, and I watched all of them. I did half of them one night, the other half the next night, and then I sent the email because I knew she was the one to help me with this. And it was strictly a business decision for me. It was, I needed somebody. I even told her I wanted somebody to take my topics and discuss them where I stayed in the background and I didn't put my name out there, because I'm not a public person. I don't like being in the spotlight, and I didn't really want any part of that. I thought maybe she would take on some of the subjects and then she could use them on her channel.
Okay, so I did receive the email that he sent, the first one that he sent, and I read it mostly. It was very long, and I had a lot of communication coming in from people that, wanted to discuss different things with me, and under some bad advice from somebody that I had been communicating with, I did not respond to that email, and I just let it go.
So I didn't start with the EMPCOE, and I didn't start with the catastrophe and that I knew everything, or the theory of everything. I started with lead paint. I wanted something simple where she could hear it, because if I came out and said, "Hey, look, by the way, I have the answers for freaking everything. I have the correct working model," she would look, she wouldn't even pay attention to it. So I started with the lead paint. I was hoping that would be a good icebreaker, and I sent that email on January 18th, and she did not respond to me at all. So it was almost a month later. I sent her another email, and I left some comments on her videos in the meantime. I was just trying to get her ear, and I left maybe 10 or 12 comments, and then when I sent the second email, that's when things really started to happen.
Yeah, he sent me some private messages on my YouTube channel when they had the messenger option, and I remember them saying something like this: "No worries, we've all been wrong before. You need to call me ASAP. Here's my number." And I read those, and I was like, "Who is this guy? No, I'm not calling you, but thanks for the offer." But when he sent me the second email, it was the perfect timing. I was going through a lot. Those of you that followed me for a while know that I had a lot of chaos around myself and somebody that I had been working with on YouTube, and I needed somebody to talk to. And so when Brian sent the second long email, I did read it, and I finally respond. I said, "Okay, you have my ear. What do you want to talk about?"
So in that second email, I had asked her, I know you want to be private and everything, and Mia's not your real name. I would like to know who I'm talking to. If you could at least just tell me your first name. And she responded with her first name, so I knew I had her ear. And then we had arranged a phone conversation for Friday night that never happened. She came up with a really lame excuse why she didn't call me. But to fast forward, she eventually did. It was on February 14th, Valentine's Day, apropos.
So the thing about that night I was supposed to call him, I never confirmed. I asked him when he was free, and he said
stood me up.
Friday after 9, but I never came back and said, "Okay, I'll call you then." I never confirmed, so I didn't know that he had been waiting for me to call when I didn't call. But I eventually did call when I was leaving work one night, and I was out running errands, so I was multitasking, driving around on the phone with him, paying attention though. But I don't think that Brian was too happy that I was doing that. I don't think he knew that I was actually driving and going to the bank and things like that. But
well, that phone conversation lasted for 6.5 hours into the wee hours of the morning. It was about, I think, 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning that we ended that phone conversation, and she had to work the next day. And not only that, she put up the grounding video, because we talked about grounding that night, and she posted the grounding video that very next morning. And I was like, wow, she's superhuman, because I could not figure out where she found the time to do that, because we just discussed it in that very first phone conversation, lasted 6.5 hours.
Yeah, I definitely took use of the time that we spent on the phone. I asked everything, because that's the first time where I'd actually gotten some real answers about things, and I asked probably, I don't even know how many questions I asked, but
A lot.
but I wanted to know everything. And I knew when I first heard his voice on the phone, like, I knew that it was pretty significant. It was like I recognized his voice, and I knew that what he was saying was true, and so, no, I didn't want to get off the phone.
And the next conversation we had was 6 hours. And in the meantime, we're sending emails back and forth. It took me 11 days to get down to LA. In that first phone conversation, I knew that it was going to be more than business. The only pictures and stuff I'd ever seen of her is, what was on YouTube, and it didn't matter to me. The connection I had with her, I knew it was more than just some business relationship to get the information out. I knew it was very significant. And so 11 days later, I was down in LA with her. She opened up her apartment to me, and I moved in. And yeah.
So the grounding video was the first video, like Brian said, that I did after we spoke. So if you go back and watch those and you see an extra glow in my eyes, you'll see why that was the change. And then the copper video was the video I made after the second phone conversation a couple days later. So already, just from the things that he had told me, I was like, yeah, I need to get this information out to people.
So on the first phone conversation, I knew it was special, the connection I had with her. It was the easiest conversation I've ever had with anybody, and especially a woman. And it just flowed. And, it lasted 6.5 hours. By the second phone conversation, I expressed to her how I felt in just that day period of the feelings that I had already had for her. And it was a feeling that I've never had before. I've been in relationships before, but the feeling I had with her and the connection I had with her was incredible. And it was something that I was not going to spend time thinking about. Within that first phone conversation, I was already in my mind thinking, okay, how am I going to work this so we can work side by side? I didn't want to work 1,200 miles away from her. I wanted to be side by side with her, because the connection and the ease of the communication that we had, everything. And even when I got down to LA, it was the most comfortable I had ever been with another human being. And it was almost like we had done it before.
And I felt exactly the same. There's a lot of things, obviously, that people can get hung up on under normal circumstances when you're considering having somebody you've never met in person just, come 1,200 miles and come and move into your place with you. So that obviously, there was a lot of things that could have prevented that. But I as well was not going to pass up this opportunity, and as far as I was concerned, he couldn't get down to LA quick enough.
So from Valentine's night that we had our first phone conversation till the 11 days later on the 25th of when I got down to LA, we had spent over 30 hours on the phone and hundreds of emails back and forth until I got down to LA. And then once we were in LA, it took a couple days before we figured out how I wanted to approach. And basically, she was saying, "I don't know this. You're going to have to do it."
Yeah.
And it wasn't the answer I wanted.
Yeah. So the original plan, obviously, for me to cover the things and him to stay in the background, did not work. But it's better that way. And as far as the information on the EMPCOE, once I understood what he was talking about that, and about the possibility of it happening soon, that's when I knew that needed to get out. Like, once I understood what he was explaining to me about the model and about the plasma, I was like, it became my #1 goal was to not only just to disseminate the information that I could on my end about how to prepare for it health-wise and whatever, but to do whatever I could to get his channel out there so that people would go and see what he was saying about the model and everything that he was trying to say. That I knew was like the most significant thing to get out to people, and that people needed to hear what he had to say. So I promoted him on every single video.
So I hope a lot of people get some lessons from this. And the lesson is, if you want something, go get it, right? Life is your oyster. Go and do the things that you want to do. Don't wait. And especially with the knowledge of the catastrophe, the EMPCOE, and all that, you just need to live life, and you need to go do the stuff you want to do now. Don't wait. Time is short, and it's really short now. But if there's something you want to do, go do it. Don't sit around. 11 days was too long for me. I wanted to get down there quicker. I just had things in life that I had to take care of before I could get down to LA and be with her. Best decision of my life. I've not regretted 1 second since we had our 9-month anniversary just the other day on the 25th of November. And it has been an absolute joy being with her, and best decision I ever made. And I want you guys, if you guys, time is short, if there's something out there you want to go do, if there's somebody you want to be with, go do it.
I second that. So that's kind of just a really, really brief overview of how this all came to be, and how we came in contact, and you guys know the rest of the story, everything that's developed from there, which has truly, truly been meant to be. So thanks for listening, guys. I will post some of our first emails next to this video in this discussion series, so you guys can read for yourselves what we said. That's all we have for you guys today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody, stay safe, be good to one another, and God bless.
And I love Mia.
And I love Brian. Mwah.